Hello, hello. Happy Friday. We are back for another episode of the Tech Behind FinTech, where we discuss the technology behind FinTech and also some news updates. Always a pleasure joining in. Let me just get everything situated with the technology in the background. Have a lot of news to cover. Once again, we are streaming live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. If you're on Instagram, you can go to the techbehindfintech.com and you'll see the links to our show. All right, lot to cover today, so let's just get into it. Just do some housekeeping stuff behind the scenes first, get some settings right. Cool. And now we will go live. Let's go live with let's go live with our first article of the day. Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Nnamdi Osuagwu. I am the host of the Tech Behind FinTech. Once again, we are streaming live on multiple platforms, and you can comment on those platforms. So if you comment on LinkedIn, YouTube, uh, Facebook, and you can comment on. Why do I feel I'm missing one? Yeah, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. You can make some comments on and definitely will respond live during the show. On Instagram, the techbehindfintech.com is pinned, so you can go to the website for our additional links. All right, let's jump into it. First news of the day that we want to cover. Zeta partners with Mastercard to shake up the credit card issuance industry. So essentially, credit card issuers are any bank or credit union that provides a credit card directly to the end user as a consumer small business. So there's a startup called Zeta that basically makes that process a lot easier and adds a lot of technology. At the core of the partnership is an agreement to go to market jointly to launch credit cards with issuers worldwide on Zeta's modern, cloud native, and fully API ready credit processing stack. So, essentially, they're just adding a lot of modernization on top of legacy mainframe systems that certain issuers will have. The CEO, Bavin Tarikia, says the firm is fundamentally rewiring how issuers launch credit card programs by offering new paradigms over legacy mainframe systems. Very interesting. Um, let's get some more information from this article. So Mastercard and Zeta have been working together following its involvement in Mastercard's global startup engagement program, StartPath. Zeta is a company based in India, if I'm not mistaken. Zeta now is a member of Mastercard's developers partner network Engage, which will give it access to Mastercard's network and allow it to integrate with or bundle in Mastercard services products. And another thing of note, I think they raised 250 million, if I'm not mistaken. I think SoftBank was a part of that process as well. All right, let's move forward with the other article we found interesting today. Class action suit against Coinbase alleges unregulated security sales. So essentially, what's happening? This class action suit was brought upon by three individuals. They filed a proposed class action suit March 11th in the Southern District Court of New York, alleging that Coinbase is operating as an unregistered security exchange. The lawsuit lists 79 tokens that it claims are securities Coinbase is selling in violation of the state and federal law, and the buyers were not warned of risk involved with their purchase. Plaintiffs are Christopher Underwood, Louis Oberlander, and Henry Rodriguez, represented by Connecticut law firm Silver, Golub, and Tito. Um, so the 255-page document argues separately for each token in question that it qualifies as a security under the Howey test, investment of money in a common enterprise with a reasonable expectation of profits to be derived from the efforts of others. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting take. I mean, the SEC is clamping down, but it's more clamping down on, years ago it was about the ICOs, the initial coin offerings, and then they're currently in a dispute with Ripple, but they have not really taken action against any exchange. In fact, there's a class action by 3 individuals. Not sure where it's gonna go, but let's see. Um, Definitely found it interesting, but if it definitely goes forward, it'll set off a very interesting precedent, because if that's the case, then all exchanges will be in that same situation, right? So if this goes through, I mean, because they all offer tokens, and according to this class action suit, they're selling unregulated securities for sale. So it'll definitely set a lot of precedent. But let's see where it goes. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put that article. I'm gonna put that article in the chat right now. I'll put it in. So once again, if you're on LinkedIn, please go to the techbehindfintech.com. It's pinned to our live. Then you can go to you can take part in chatting, and we respond to your questions and post it. Yeah, let me put this link right now. Everybody else will get it. Okay, I'm not able to comment for some reason. Okay, here we go. Just typing it in so you guys can see it on the other platforms. I'll put it base class action suits. Interesting article, but definitely will set some pull up. There we go. Give me a second. I'm just posting this in chat. Okay. What's the next one? What's the next one on the agenda? U.S. lawmakers introduce bills that could force crypto exchanges to cut ties with Russian wallets. So the bill's not in action yet. So it's a bill being introduced, and essentially, it's by Representative Brad Sherman, introducing a bill aimed at cracking down on United States businesses handling crypto transactions for Russian banks and individuals. It's kind of far-reaching. Obviously, it's based on the current situation in Ukraine with the war going on there. Rep. Sherman said that he will be introducing a companion bill to Senator Elizabeth Warren's legislation that would give the Biden administration explicit authority to require that crypto exchanges are subject to U.S. law stop facilitating transactions with Russian-based crypto wallets. You know, far-reaching. I mean, the Binance CEO Zhao said that Binance is another exchange similar to Coinbase. Said that the firm could comply with the sanctions, but not block transactions connecting to all Russian crypto wallets. While Kraken CEO Jesse Powell said there would be legal requirement for the exchange to freeze Russian accounts. From Binance, we are not going to unilaterally freeze millions of innocent users' accounts. A Binance spokesperson told Cointelegraph in February, crypto was meant to provide greater financial freedom for people across the globe. So once again, this bill goes through. That will be definitely a new precedent in terms of freezing, because basically every wallet that's Russian. So let's see. Let's move on to the next one. So this one is found this one extremely interesting. Basically, it's around supply chain, like the physical supply chain, and it's using that technology, blockchain technology, to basically track cocoa from Ghana. Ghana is the second largest producer of cocoa in the world. So, I know we talk a lot about, crypto and different things, but at the underlying side, we have a technology that could be utilized for far-reaching use cases. So, the company, if I'm not pronouncing this correctly, uh, Koa aims to help Ghanaian farmers increase their pay while allowing cocoa consumers to know exactly where their beans have come from. So it's essentially, one of the things with the blockchains, Open Ledger use a public blockchain. So what they want to do is basically track from growth all the way through the supply chain, so you can see what's happening. So currently, the average Ghanaian farmer earns about $6,183 per year, according to the average salary. This is extremely low. Another reason for doing is corporations such as Oreo and Chips Ahoy producer Mondelez have been accused of paying farmers a rate below a living wage by the Council du Cafe Cocoa, which regulates the cocoa production in the Ivory Coast and Ghana. COA believes publicly documenting payments records on the blockchain can eliminate such practices. So COA, they partnered with C-Trace. C-Trace is a German-based company that provides the platform for COA supply chain infrastructure. The platform utilizes the Topo blockchain to record data about the production and distribution of cocoa. Farmers use the data to know where their products have gone and how they are being used, while consumers can easily track the origin of the ingredients in their food and to ensure the farmers are paid properly for their work. So definitely fascinating on that. And this is not necessarily one of the first use cases being used to track leverage the blockchain technology to track food production. Currently, Walmart Canada has begun using distributed ledger technology in its supply chain operations over the past year. They're using IBM's platform, Hyperledger Fabric platform, to track and trace foodborne illnesses. According to the NASDAQ, the system has cut the time that it takes to find specific data on food items from 7 days to just over 2 seconds. So that's phenomenal. And I think we're going to see more use cases of this come forward. And I mean, that was one of the, like, a while ago. I think we did a show on that last year sometime, but various use cases of leveraging blockchain technology for supply chain, especially when you're dealing with various manufactured items and also farm goods. Um, so definitely wanted to point that out. Found that interesting. And in the case of Walmart, Hyperledger is a private blockchain. It's not public, so it'll probably be between the various intermediaries to track that supply chain. So that's a very interesting article right there. Uh, let's go to the next one. All right, so this is the last one of the day. Definitely want to cover this. So, when we something just went up with my computer. All right, so when we talk about supply chain, this one is more around software supply chain. So in general, what is, if you look at supply chain, right? It's whether it's dealing with cars, whether you're dealing with cocoa, as we just talked about, but also their software. So it's basically looking at these little parts and raw materials and taking it through the life cycle to produce the end products. But in the software supply chain, similar, right? When we look at software and things that we build and products and apps that you use, um, various components are leveraged, a lot of open source libraries, and that's part of what they call the software supply chain. So a company that deals in static code analysis and also software composition analysis, Sneak, they warned of a deliberate sabotage to the NPM ecosystem. A node that's more so around Node.js packaging. So NPM is used tremendously with like more on the front end side of things. Hold on, let's get some notes going on. Yeah, so it's basically a package manager, and it puts modules in place so that Node.js can find them and manages dependency conflicts intelligently. So open. So in this particular case, right, researchers found that component, node IPC, basically has a malicious package that deliberately targets users in Russia and Belarus. So this package was the malicious code was introduced as a protest to the war, which is interesting using technology in this way. The package contains malicious code that targets users with IP located in Russia or Belarus and overwrites their files with a heart emoji. Um, Sneak said of the critical advisories. Let's get into that. So now we could get really into like a larger issue around transitive dependency. So as I did a video on this a couple of years ago, and I definitely think I talked about this on one of the episodes last year. And as I mentioned, right, when you're building software using, you're relying on various open source components, and sometimes those open source components could have vulnerabilities in them. In this particular case, intentional vulnerability was introduced to a node IPC, um, a package, right? So it was intentional, and it only interacts with IPs in a certain range, and in this case, it's the ranges were targeting Russia and Belarus. So let's just get into that. So one of the things up until March 15th, this module had virtually no downloads at all. However, that all changed when its NPM maintainer added this module as a dependency to one of their other popular modules, Node IPC. So essentially, what it's saying is it was a module outside of Node IPC, but then they added that it was a dependency item there. So it was like a transitive dependency. So you're pulling that in, and which is by itself is a popular dependency among many JavaScript developers. Um, you know, and it's very interesting because it's really using geolocation to invoke the attack. Um, the maintainer behind the protest sabotage currently maintains more than 40 additional NPM package managers with hundreds of millions of downloads, and warned that it constitutes a dangerous and malicious act. So just fascinating, actually, my point of view. Actually, let me put the article. That was from Security Week. I want to put the I'm gonna put the article there. I'm gonna chat it on our. It's definitely an interesting read. And when you start thinking about it, of where that can lead, I mean, intentional open source attacks and corrupting libraries. I mean, that's not something that's new. That's something that has been done. Um, in this case, geolocation. I've not heard of any that actually invokes based on location. That's interesting, and I would like to actually investigate that some more and see if there's other cases like that. But in general, you can, if you're running any type of technology, you should have, like, within your CI/CD pipeline, you should have something called a software composition analysis, and that will essentially detect if you have open source vulnerabilities within your system. You have to just basically scan your code base. I mean, sometimes it's literally just not updating certain packages that you're leveraging, but it's hard to keep track of them because of the transitive side of dependencies. You could be calling one package behind the scenes, that package calls another package, as in the case that we see here. So I posted that article, found it interesting. But definitely running a continuous software composition analysis on your code base, you should be able to detect these types of issues. I think that's it for the show today. I mean, just want to cover those articles. The next few weeks, gonna start having some guests on, organizing that behind the scenes, and jump into like particular topics in addition to the news. Um, I'm going to wait for some comments and see if we have anyone who wants to comment on something before we let me check the comment section on this app for that reason. Once again, if you're on Instagram and you want to see the show live and comment, go to the techbehindfintech.com. There'll be links to our YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitch platforms. I think that's it for today. I don't see any comments going on. As always, listen, thank you very much for tuning in. I definitely appreciate the viewership. You can visit us at the techbehindfintech.com. We'll start advertising particular show topics when we have some guests on in the next coming weeks. And that's it. Have a great weekend and a great Friday, and wish everyone the best. Cheers. Thanks for tuning in. Get this thing situated.